Hi Year 2, and we've come to the final part of our story of this week. Now, I have been having a sneak peek on Frog, and I've been seeing how brilliant your stories are. And because it's a Friday, I saved the best bit till the last. It's only one picture, and it's the end. All right, so let's enjoy writing the final part of why Giraffe has a long neck. So if you remember the last part of our story, the animals pulled, and Giraffe's neck and legs were getting longer and longer. So we need to explain what happens at the end. So I'm going to say, if I look at my picture, I can see that all the animals have fallen in a huge heap on the floor of Tinga Tinga. And if we look at Giraffe now, no longer does she have a really short neck. No longer does she look like a horse or a zebra. She now has this very, very long extended neck, which will help her to eat the trees, the leaves at the top of the trees. And that's really important for Giraffe because remember, we already know that she's very, very greedy. She likes to eat a lot. Okay, so let me begin. I finished yesterday with the animals pulled, and as they pulled, Giraffe's legs and neck got longer and longer. I'm going to begin with an adverbial phrase to say when or what happened. So I'm going to start with all of a sudden. All of a sudden. Okay, and then a comma. You could say suddenly or without warning. That's a really good one. I wish I'd thought of that before. All of a sudden, the animals from Tinga Tinga landed in a huge. Now, because I like to be fancy from time to time, I'm not just going to use one adjective, I'm going to use two. So I'm going to say the animals from Tinga Tinga land in a huge untidy, because it doesn't look very tidy. It's not a neat pile, is it? Huge, untidy, and I love the word heap. Huge, untidy heap on the ground. Now, I know that in Tinga Tinga the ground wouldn't just be like a concrete ground. I'm going to say dusty ground. On the dusty ground. End of my sentence. Now I could put a full stop, that would be acceptable, but because they've just landed in a heap, I'm going to put an exclamation mark because that's quite shocking. All of a sudden, the animals from Tinga Tinga landed in a huge, untidy heap on the dusty ground. Now, I'm going to be a bit like an author and describe that as they looked up, what did they see, okay? As they looked up, and they're going to be surprised by what they see. So I'm going to explain to the reader. As they looked up to their surprise, because it is surprising, there's a shock. To their surprise, they saw that Giraffe had popped out of the hole. Out of the, oh, not the hole, the tree, because that's where she was stuck. She was stuck in a hole in the tree. As they looked up, to their surprise, they saw that Giraffe had popped out of the tree. However, the reason why I write however is because really you're not meant to start a sentence with but. But however and but mean the same thing, and you are allowed to start a sentence with however. So that's why I put however. However, Giraffe looked completely different. Different. And because that's a shock, I've put an exclamation mark. So all of a sudden, the animals from Tinga Tinga landed in a huge, untidy heap on the dusty ground. As they looked up, to their surprise, they saw that Giraffe had popped out of the tree. However, Giraffe looked completely different. Her neck was as tall as the highest treetops. Again, that's a shock. So what do you think I'm going to put at the end? You're right, exclamation mark. And if we look, I'm actually telling the truth. Giraffe is as tall as the highest treetops. She was, now I've used the word delighted before to mean that she was extremely happy, so I'm going to use another word. You may not have heard of this word before. It's a tricky word. It's called ecstatic, which means you're so happy, you're over the moon. So she was ecstatic. She was ecstatic. So it doesn't mean you're just happy. You're just so happy. You're jumping for joy. You're over the moon. She was ecstatic. Now, she would always have juicy leaves to, I wonder if you can predict my next word. She would always have juicy leaves to eat because, can you think why she would always have juicy leaves to eat? Why would she have more leaves? It's because she's so tall. Nobody else can eat those leaves, can they? So what was my sentence again? I've forgotten. Oh, now she would always have juicy leaves to eat because nobody else could, remember, oh you lucky duck, could reach them. And that's the end of the story. And when I think about Monkey and how he finishes his Tinker Tales, he always ends with a sentence, this is why blah 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 has the blah blah blah. So I'm going to write, and this is why Giraffe has a long neck. And if you'd like to, I always do when I finish something, you can write the end. Okay, let's go back through it. Although it's our last picture, it's quite a lot to write to finish it off. Here we go. All of a sudden, the animals from Tinga Tinga landed in a huge, untidy heap on the dusty ground. As they looked up, to their surprise, they saw that Giraffe had popped out of the tree. However, Giraffe looked completely different. Her neck was as tall as the highest treetops. She was ecstatic. Now she would always have juicy leaves to eat because nobody else could reach them. This is why Giraffe has a long neck. The end. Okay, so your turn to write. Remember when you're writing about this, explain what happened to the animals. They all landed in a heap, and explain why. It's because Giraffe popped out of the hole in the tree. Explain that when they looked up, they saw Giraffe looked completely different. And explain how Giraffe felt about that and why. Then you've written your story. And then this week we have written a whole story based on Tinga Tinga. I hope you've enjoyed this week. I know I have. It's been really good fun. I look forward to seeing your work later. Bye.